Welcome to Global Media Stocks to Watch. I'm Michael Swido. I'm speaking today with Delayne Weeks. She is the CEO of Angkor Resources. Delayne, great to see you again. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks so much, Michael. It's always a pleasure.
There's some really big news out of Cambodia, where one of your flagship projects is located. Your company, Angkor Resources, has signed a deal with the Cambodian government to drill for oil and gas. This is Cambodia's first onshore oil and gas project. And perhaps what makes this even more significant is that Cambodia currently relies 100% on imports for these energy needs. Now, Delayne, I know you've been working on this project, on this deal for a long time, so I got to ask, how do you feel now that it is finally signed?
There was both elation and relief, Michael, that we actually arrived at the point where we can, all right, let's get rolling now. We reduced the license size for a couple of reasons, but it was originally about 7,300 square kilometers, now down to 3,729, purposely because we wanted to avoid any issues with the parks or sanctuaries. And we had already done some reconnaissance on them and said that they're not going to be contributing to the oil and gas part of it. So it was prudent to remove those first. But we're really happy to get rolling here and have already started the environmental assessment. Actually, we did that the day after we were notified by the government. So it was a case of, okay, hurry up and let's go. So really pleased to be in this position.
Fantastic. Well, you mentioned that the size of the block that you're developing is a bit smaller than it was or than was expected. What is the potential?
Well, I can't really tell you what the potential is until we drill. I mean, drilling it's essentially the truth detector, because then we know what's underground. We can surmise, and based on the research that we've done so far, we've done a lot of testing of the source rock to see what kind of hydrocarbons are there. We do have oil seeps. We've undertaken some other satellite imagery, but I mean, we believe these are large reservoirs. We just have to prove economic quantity, which is our ultimate goal. This particular license now has 6 basins in it that we've identified. 2 of them are shallower, and 4 of them are imitating a foreland sedimentary basin, which tend to be large. There tend to be thousands and literally hundreds of millions of barrels. But again, we don't know until we drill. We have every indication that there's economic quantity there, but if there's never been a well drilled in the country, I hate to kind of stick my neck out here and say, oh, we're going to light the world on fire, because we have to be realistic. And it's science that's going to take us there.
All right, well, I like that. Science is going to take us there, but it sounds like definitely some room for optimism, but let's just keep it in check for the moment. Can you give us kind of an overview of the agreement? What are the main points?
Well, excuse me, it's a 30-year production sharing agreement, which means the first 6 to 7 years are allotted for exploration. We believe we're going to do that in under 3 years, so we're going to accelerate that. And then you move to development and then ultimately production. And if there's lots of production, then the agreement also allows for extensions on that. So this may, I mean, for lucky, we might find something that's going to produce for 80 or 100 years. We don't know till we drill, but the agreement right now is for that 30-year period, and we'll get rolling with that. There's a flat royalty to the government, which is typical around the world of a percentage there. We can adjust certain elements of it, and we also second government authorities at different levels, because part of what we're doing here is also training the local government authorities and the local residents on what this looks like and how it's going to impact the country. So there's a big training component in there as well.
Okay, that's really interesting to hear. I'd love to explore that with you another time in a bit more depth. Right now, though, I want to talk about what's next. You mentioned that you've already begun that environmental impact assessment. So where is that? I mean, you just started, but tell us what are the next steps for that and for the project.
Okay, so if the environmental impact assessment will take roughly 2 months. So the first 30 days they go hard, they're on the ground, they're testing water quality, whatnot, and air, soil, meeting with community members, and then it has to go in front of Ministry of Environment. And that takes a process to go through. Upon completion of that, we will have already signed an agreement with the seismic contractor. We're looking at 350 line kilometers of 2D seismic. Our geoscientists are currently working on exactly where they want these lines to run. And then it'll take a couple of months to interpret that seismic. So we're hoping May, June, July, we've cleaned up the seismic, and now we're into interpretation. Interpretation will take place during rainy season, and then it's decision time. Do we need more seismic? Do we want to drill an exploratory well? So things are happening very quickly. And like I said, even that part kind of takes and compresses 2.5 years into 10 months. So that's what we can expect going forward to the end of this particular year. And then by next year, we would certainly be looking to drill or doing 3D seismic.
As we mentioned, this is Cambodia's first onshore oil project. Are you expecting to receive any sort of support from the Cambodian government in terms of permitting, infrastructure, et cetera, to keep the project moving along at this pace, this quick pace that you're talking about?
Well, ultimately, we work closely, kind of step by step, and with reporting to the government. I believe the government is supportive. I think they want, as much as we do, for Cambodia to establish its own source of energy through hydrocarbons. And we present a great opportunity to do just that. So I think as much as the challenge is to educate them, right? Because they may think, well, this is what you said you'd do. Now you've changed it. And so you're shifting to 2D seismic instead of 3D seismic. Those kind of things may become adjusting, but it's about educating them to say, you go with the data that you have, and you have to be prepared to adjust. That's the oil and gas exploration industry. That's the reality of it. So yeah, I do expect and have seen so far that the government's supportive of what we're trying to do.
As you mentioned, I mean, there are uncertainties to this. And I mean, every project faces uncertainties. And I think what makes a good leader and a good company is how they plan for that, how they mitigate for it. So what's on your radar, and what are you, how are you preparing for them?
Well, ultimately, we look for a couple of things. In the big scale, Michael, picking up a second license in the country may be something that would mitigate the risks for Cambodia, because we are familiar with some of the seismic that has been run elsewhere. However, we want to get rolling with this one first. As we roll through this one, again, we take a look at the interpretation. For example, if the 2D seismic comes back and it's very, very clear that we've got the right kind of pattern, then we form a drill target. If it's not so clear, we might say, okay, let's do a little bit more 3D seismic, which essentially spaces your seismic much closer together before we drill. But decisions need to be made. And I think one of the things is we have plan A, plan B, plan C. If this happens, then we go this way. If this happens, we go this way. But communication between our team members and the management is absolutely essential. And that's really, really strong. That's, I think, one of our best points. And it's easy to sit around the table and say, okay, this is what we have. This is what the science indicates. Here's the unknowns. What's our best path? And make decisions clearly and quite quickly so that we're efficient as we're dealing with whatever science we find.
Yeah, I mean, the kind of key points I'm picking up from what you're saying, right, are look at the data and let's go fast. And I think that that's really, I mean, that must summarize kind of the culture of the project and of your company right now. So I think it's worth pointing out to investors.
I think too, Michael, I'd like to add that the people that we have in place, these are veterans. These are guys that have been in the industry like for 40 years, and they know what they're doing, and they've seen all the changes in technology, and they know the innovations that are available to us. So there's a great deal of wisdom in that, what I call gray power, because most of them these guys are in their 60s and early 70s, but they've been at it for all of their lives. So it's like, this is what they eat, breathe, sleep, drink, this is their life. And so we have a really strong team of vested interests from our geophysicists to our geologists. And that's exciting too, because I kind of feel like, okay, we're just pulling some of the best across the globe together to start something brand new in Cambodia. And that's refreshing.
Definitely. And I gotta say, I'm also I'm all in favor of great power.
I guess we have to be, don't we? But there certainly are some advantages to it.
All right, I want to look at Euro stock right now. It has been on a tear of late. It has nearly tripled in value over the past 3 months. Enthusiasm clearly has been building. For investors who may just be taking a first look at the stock, though, tell us, why do you think it's a compelling investment opportunity? Why is Angkor Resources a stock to watch?
Well, ultimately, it's just the beginning. We've just started this. So, I mean, give us a couple of months to get some of these things out of the way, and I believe we're going to see that stock raise with each increment. Okay, we got the seismic going, and this is what the seismic looks like in step A, B, C, D. As well, we still continue with 3 mineral projects in the country, copper and gold, which are still very strong in the marketplace, and drilling on one of those currently for gold, and moving towards that on the copper porphyry play as well. So there's other things that we've put in place for the company so that we're not just dependent on oil. We're not just dependent on gold. We have a number of things, the teams work concurrently. And I think that's very promising to say, okay, if things don't go really well here, they're at least covered there in several other places. Plus, we have production in Canada we're still trying to continue to expand that.
Okay, fantastic. So great diversification there. Really appreciate you taking this time to walk us through all this, and congratulations again on signing that deal with the Cambodian government.
Great. Thanks so much, Michael. Again, I really appreciate the opportunity and wish you all a great day.
Thank you. We've been speaking with Angkor Resources CEO Delayne Weeks, and you've been watching Global Oil Media Stocks to Watch. I'm Michael Swido.